For another story. The story this week is Rabbit and Coyote Race. And this is the story that is going to use all 5 of our vocabulary words. Let's review them one more time really quickly before we start. The first word was exercise. Remember, we show our muscles. The next is physical, talking about our bodies. Then we have agree. My idea matches yours. Next, we have difficult. If it's hard, it gets us all twisted up inside. And exhausted. How you feel when you've been working really hard. Let's read the story. Rabbit and Coyote Race, a Pueblo tale. If a rabbit and coyote raced, who do you think would win? Why? Long ago, Rabbit was sitting near a large cactus plant in the hot desert when Coyote came running by. Coyote stopped and greeted Rabbit. "Hello," he said. "What are you doing?" "I was thinking about how fast you can run," replied Rabbit. "I was also thinking that I can move just as fast by hopping." "That's not true," said Coyote angrily. "I can move faster than any animal in the land. In fact, I am the best at every physical activity." "Then let's have a race next week," said Rabbit. "You can run and I will hop, and we will find out who is faster." "I like that idea," exclaimed Coyote. "And to make the race even more exciting, the winner gets to eat the loser." Now the coyote might want to eat the rabbit, but do you think the rabbit wants to eat the coyote? Let's see what happens. "I agree with your plan," said Rabbit. But secretly he had his own plan. That night he spoke to his family. "In order to beat Coyote, you will have to help me," he explained. "You can begin to race underground and get a head start. Then you can each pick a spot and wait there." He pointed to his brother. "When I get to you, I will be tired. You can pop up to replace me. Coyote won't know the difference." Then he pointed to his sister. "You can go even further, and when our tired brother gets to you, you can pop up to replace him." Rabbit continued all in this way until he had included his whole family. Then they all raced off underground to wait. On the day of the race, Coyote and Rabbit met by the cactus plant again. "Are you ready to race?" asked Coyote. "Let's race," said Rabbit. "You can run across the land as you always do. I will hop across the land as I always do. We'll race to the 4 corners of the land. We will see who is faster." And with that, the two began the race. Coyote ran east for several days. "I haven't had this much exercise in a long time," he thought. Meanwhile, Rabbit hopped behind him. At least, that is what Coyote thought. However, when he looked ahead, he saw a rabbit. "I'm winning!" yelled the rabbit. Of course, Coyote thought it was the first rabbit. He didn't know that this was Rabbit's brother, who had popped out of a hole. Coyote turned and began to run north. He ran for several days. As he ran, he thought he was beating Rabbit, who was hopping behind him. However, when Coyote looked ahead, he couldn't believe his eyes. Rabbit was now ahead of him. "I'm beating you!" called the rabbit. Of course, Coyote didn't realize that this was Rabbit's sister. Now Coyote tried even harder. He ran as fast as he could. He ran for several days. Once again, he thought he was beating Rabbit. However, when he looked ahead, Rabbit was hopping in front of him once again. "You are a slowpoke!" yelled Rabbit. Of course, Coyote didn't know that this was Rabbit's uncle. Turning south, Coyote tried to run even faster. By now, he was completely exhausted. When he finally reached the southern corner of the land, Rabbit was still ahead of him. Of course, Coyote didn't know that this wasn't the rabbit he had made the bet with. It was Rabbit's cousin. It took Coyote several days to limp back to the starting point of the race. When he finally arrived, Rabbit was already there. "I can see that race was very difficult for you," said Rabbit, looking very relaxed. "I guess I can hop faster than you can run. Now come here, so that I can eat you." Coyote felt ashamed. He knew Rabbit would not eat him, but he ran away as fast as he could, which wasn't very fast at all. That night Rabbit's family gathered together. They laughed and laughed as they talked about the trick they played on Coyote. They knew that Coyote would never again brag about being the fastest animal in the land, and they were right. How did you do at listening to the story and listening for those vocabulary words to show up? Did you hear all of them? Did you practice them when you heard them? I hope so, and I hope you enjoyed this story. Happy learning!